remember what happened?
When?
During the battle.
Welcome to the dark side of the moon, gentlemen.
Aren't we supposed to be on top of the mountain to win this thing?
Our job is to separate the Taliban from the ordinary people. How do we do our jobs and stay safe? Respect keeps us safe.
I wouldn't trade this for anything. Look at us, band of brothers.
Keep me in your prayers, okay?
Trust me, babe, I quit.
I love you.
We're gonna win by getting their hearts and minds.
We want their hearts and minds, and they want our blood and guts.
Sorry, pal, but that's life at Camp Keating. Every time they take a pot shot at us, they're figuring us out. When the big one comes, they'll have us dialed in.
The Taliban's not here! Harvey is not coming! It's the big one. Saddle up! Everybody fall back. Enemy in the wire.
I'll hang back and provide cover. We need to retake this camp.
We don't have any air support, the manpower.
Our men are trapped up there. Our ammo depot is 40 yards away. There's everything we need to stay in this fight. Let me do this, sir.
Let's show them some love with the 120s.
You all right, mate? Come on, put your arms around me. You're not gonna die, okay?
RPG! Red platoon!
We're taking this bitch back.
Hey, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show with John and Sam, discussing first responder mental health. And we have a great show planned for today. I'm getting a little feedback, Sam. You know where that is?
Yeah, I can hear it. I'm not sure if it's just on your end or it's just coming over the speakers. But
maybe it's coming over the speakers. But we got a great show. Sam, why don't you tell us all about it?
Well, you guys saw how we introduced the show today. First of all, welcome everybody. It is another incredibly devastating week that has gone by with the number of losses that we've suffered in our first responder community, that we continue to suffer in our veteran community. And unfortunately, we continue to add, thank you to our partner Blue Help, but we continue to add to that suicide number.
You know,
where we've had some.
I got that number. I got a new number today, which is really disturbing. The Veterans Association has put out that 55 now per day. So that number has dramatically increased. Yeah, we've got, if you're just like climbing out from under your rock that you've been trying to live under since this COVID thing started, you've heard 22 is the number. When we started bringing first responders into that, it was like 35. Now, I'll say as we have settled, and John, you and I have discussed this before, as things kind of not return to normal, but settle down. You're not working the 12-hour shifts. You're back on 8 hours. You've got your set shift. So it's not all over the place. You're not having to respond. You actually do get quiet time. And you and I both know from our experiences personally that when we have too much quiet time, this starts to go a little bonkers, catastrophizing. A lot of what we have been through in our past, the traumas that we've experienced and seen from our careers come up to the surface. And if we are not armed with the tactical solutions to be able to work through, one, we talk about awareness, to be aware of what's happening, and two, to work through it. That's where we're seeing a lot of officers, first responders, and veterans continue to flounder. And
we try to send that message every single day. John is on Facebook every morning, 0 dark 30. Today is not the day to give up. If that one post, if you just read that one post, reach out just to say, hey, can you talk for a second? We're here. It's what we do with a badge of honor. And I want to, can we transition into the veteran?
Yeah, but I just want to elaborate on what you said about, me and you back in the day, we went in our own minds. When we got home, there was that little solace there. We were able to de-stress a tiny bit, though we'd still be on our own head. Now officers today, under the current narrative, right, they come home, they turn on the TV, they go to social media, they go to this grocery store, they go anywhere, and they are stigmatized. That puts such an undue stress on the guys who are trying to make a difference, the law enforcement out there that is really trying to focus on helping other people. And man, I can't imagine the stress that these officers are going through today.
Yeah, you and I, we say that because you and I have been through the shitter. We've been chewed up and luckily spit out the other side. Okay, we've got the scars to show it, and it's our willingness to accept those scars, accept what we've been through, turn it around, turn it into a purpose. And that is what our guest tonight has done as well. And he has impacted hundreds. I'm going to say thousands. He's impacted thousands of people. And can we just go right into the intro?
Yeah.
So
let's transition right in.
All right. So I'm going to transition here, and our guest tonight is First Sergeant retired Jonathan Hill, who hails from Blacksburg, Virginia. He enlisted in the United States Army on May 26, 1992. He completed his one-station unit training at Fort Knox, Kentucky, with the title designator of 19 Delta Cavalry Scout. His assignments were 311 Armored Cavalry Regiment, the 33 Armored Cavalry Regiment, 1st Armored Division, 515th Cavalry Squadron, 44 Infantry Division, and the 162nd Infantry Division. He has served as a dismount, loader, driver, gunner, and commander on numerous armored and combat vehicles, such as the Bradley Fighting, the HMMWV, and the MATV. And he has served in several leadership roles as squad leader, section sergeant, senior scout, observer controller, senior drill sergeant, platoon sergeant, first sergeant, and battalion command sergeant major. He has deployed to numerous training, peacekeeping, and combat operations in foreign countries such as Germany, Kuwait, Bosnia, Croatia, Iraq, and Afghanistan. His awards and decorations include the Silver Star, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, Meritorious Service Medal. He has 2 of those. He has 5 Army Commendation Medals, 7 Army Achievement Medals, 6 Good Conduct Medals, a National Defense Service Medal with Bronze Star, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Southwest Asia Service Medal with Bronze Star, Afghan Expeditionary Medal with 2 Bronze Stars, the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Armed Forces Service Medal, Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal, the Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Development Ribbon. He has 3 of those. Army, 5 Army Service Ribbon, Overseas Ribbons, NATO Medal with 1 Bronze Star, Combat Action Badge, the Order of St. George, Bronze. Foreign awards are the Gold German Schützenschnur, hope I got that right, and the Latvian Army Medal of Diligence. Jonathan was medically retired in April 2013 after 21 years of active duty service from the United States Army. He was medically retired and is an advocate for soldiers with PTSD. Jonathan is also on the board of directors for Throttle Therapy and Spartan Action Network. He currently resides in Plano, Texas, where he enjoys traveling, camping, hunting, fishing, and riding his Harley Davidsons, plural. And as you all that are watching saw from the way that we introed the show, he is part of the movie The Outpost, the most decorated unit in Army history. If you haven't seen that movie, please, tonight after the show, tomorrow, just please go watch it. Because what we're going to talk about is close to the heart. It's what allows Jonathan to make a difference in people's lives because he's been there. He's done that. Retired First Sergeant Jonathan Hill. Welcome to Mad Radio.
I got to applaud you, man. Thank you. Thank you so much, because me and Sam are able to do this show because of people like you and the freedom of speech and protecting our rights. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No, it's really a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much. And you pronounce it right. It is the German Schützenschnee.
Hi.
So, no, it's great to be here. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this day, and I got to thank you too for everything that you have done for our nation as well and for our communities. And it takes true individuals with true heart and guts and soul to be able to do what you two have done as well. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done.
You're very welcome. You just mentioned the word soul there, and if you don't mind, if we just dive right in here, because from the moment, I mean, the trailer starts, you see your friend sharing something that's very difficult.
Yeah.
That hit home with me because that was me trying to share what I went through. And your unit, all of your souls were touched. I mean, you and the actions, the brave actions that you took that day, I can only say it made an impression on the President of the United States, on every commanding officer of yours, that you guys deserved every commendation that you got. 9/11 was crazy enough, but to watch what you all went through, and for those of you who have, for people who don't know what we're talking about, do you mind if we just dive right in?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, if you could just tell us about
So the first and foremost, that moment that you're talking about is when Medal of Honor recipient Ty Carter was in therapy, getting counseling, and what he had gone through that day, and what most of us had went through that day, was basically you opened the door to hell and stuck your head in it and looked around a little bit. And first and foremost, the real heroes of this entire situation were the guys that we couldn't bring home. Those are the ones that aren't here today with us. They're here in our hearts, and they're here in our thoughts. They're the ones that laid down their lives for us to be here. And those are the true heroes. That's what the word hero means right there, is someone who laid their life down so we could move on and move forward. So I first and foremost, I want to honor them. October 3rd, 2009, we were in a remote village up in the northeast part of the country of Afghanistan, close to the Pakistan border. And there was about 56 of us. And there was a platoon up on the OP, which they really didn't mention too much in the movie. But there was also another platoon that was up in the OP that was in the fight as well. That was 2nd Platoon. And we got attacked by between 400 and 500 Taliban that were all in high ground. We were in a valley. So when you're in the valley, it's not the most tactical place to be because you're in the low ground and you're being shot from above, and it took a while for everybody to kind of figure out what was going on and how bad it was getting, and air power was getting on station and things like that, and it was just it was hell on wheels. I mean, I know the word hornet's nest was used for another situation and another hell of a battle, but it's almost the best way to describe it is someone had kicked the hornet's nest and you're just getting hit from every direction. Watching that trailer, it's always tough to watch that trailer, to see the emotions, to see the faces and the things like that. It was well replicated. But that moment with Ty Carter, I really want to kind of talk about that a little bit. And when the whole battle was over and we had gotten extracted, after we had been extracted, I think it was on the fourth day in the middle of the night, because helicopters really wouldn't go there during the day because they would get shot down. And we would, so we got extracted, and we were getting equipment, refurnished with equipment that we had lost. And 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm standing in front of my platoon, and we were told that when they woke up, they could go see psychiatrists and chaplains that were being brought in from the entire country into our spot, because you guys were going to need to be talking to somebody. And I encouraged my entire platoon to go talk to somebody. And I said, I'm going to go, because that's what you do as a leader. You set the pace, you set the example. You say, I'm going to go. It's the right thing to do. I can't function as a leader and take care of you if I can't take care of myself. So the platoon dismissed, and there was one silhouette standing in the front. It was Ty Carter. And he kept saying over and over, I couldn't save him. And that was the moment when he tried to get Stephen Mace. He did save him at the moment. Sadly, he died in flight on the way to get surgery at the medical unit. And I told him, I hugged him. Ty Carter's not a hugger. He's not an emotional guy. He's a former Marine. I call him a racehorse because he has blinders on. He's always focused on what the task is and wants to do it to standard and stuff like that. And I said to him, you're going to go see someone tomorrow. He said, no, I'm not. I said, yeah, you are. I said, it's not a request. You're going to go. And he said, well, I'm not going to go unless you go with me. And I said, done. It's a done deal. So we did go the next day, and we sat in Katie Copp's office, captain at the time, Katie Kopp, and she was scratching her head. She's like, this is not how this works. It's one-on-one unless you're like a couple. And I'm like, well, I am not interested in this guy at all. But it was like looking at an old family album. We laughed, we cried a little bit, and she agreed to allow that to happen until he would feel comfortable, because that's just the kind of guy he was. And so I weaned him, and he was able to go on his own and get counseling. So if there's any part of anything that I'm very proud of that I did, was that moment where I got that kid to go talk to somebody, because he was the most stubborn, hard-nosed guy to get to do something like that. So all the credit goes to everybody else, but I just want to take that moment to say that was a problem in my life. That's where a lot of what I do stem from. So
yeah. And you couldn't have said it any better, that you set the pace as a leader. When we go around and talk to leaders in the law enforcement and first responder community, the first thing we talk about, as budget comes up and everything, and hey, where's your brain health budget? And it's below the paper clips,
Yeah.
And we're starting to see a little bit of a change. I was on a debrief recently, and it was, nobody wanted to talk, but it was the sergeant first on scene. He set the tone, he spoke up, and after that, other people started to talk. And if we have this kind of example for our first responders in every department, I think we can change the face of the level of and numbers of suicides that we're seeing, and that's in the veteran space and the first responder space. And we have so many first responders that are veterans, and you do just incredible work locally. I'm not far from you. I'm out here in Rockwall. John's all the way out near in Hearst. And so, we're all surrounding this one major metropolitan area called Dallas.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Dallas has not always had the best reputation when it comes to taking care of their officers. And you and I have a common friend over there who he is the outreach coordinator for veterans. And I think there's veteran police officers. What was there, up to like 500 or 600 DPD officers that are veterans? I mean, it's this huge number. And he said that, great, I'm up there as senior leadership. I can run the daggone program. But Jonathan, when you come in, there, it's like you're talking to your brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of, I would venture to say that a great portion of most police departments and first responder departments, to include EMTs and firefighters and such, a lot of them are veterans, because oftentimes when a veteran is transitioning out of the military, or a soldier, sailor, Marine, airman, whatever you want to call it, or Space Force now. When they're transitioning out, many of them want to go back into another uniform and be part of a squad or whatever, and have a mission and have a schedule and something that replicated what they did in the military, because they miss it. I miss it. And so what better place to go to but a police department? You get a uniform, you give a weapon, you're back in the fight somehow, but you're on another level of protecting the community, so to speak. And what frightens me about that is because they're going from, one trigger to another trigger. And if they haven't taken care of some of those triggers beforehand and they're going into another trigger, it could be a multiplier. And so that's why I have a lot of concern for a lot of the folks that are serving, with a badge or a firefighter or whatever. And Paul Farr is an amazing man who's doing everything he can for his brothers and sisters that are in his department. And there's others like Officer Geyer and from Garland and many others. And we talked about Bruce McElhaney. He's not serving as an officer, but he's still service after service. He still wants to make sure that those brothers and sisters are getting taken care of.
Which also takes a toll on you.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that we got to remember too is what we do. We can't forget to have self-care, because if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't take care of others. And if we hear the stories and we're fighting to get people help, and we're taking those phone calls at 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to talk a gun out of somebody's mouth or something to that effect, it can take a real toll on you. And you got to be able to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
I just want to backtrack on what you said, Sam, with the brain budget is below the paper clips, right? And we're starting to see a certain change. We're starting to see somewhat of the service being scratched. But the big thing is that most departments, not all, but most, we have a knee-jerk reaction to a suicide. We have a knee-jerk reaction to, a homicide or a multiple homicide or a traumatic event. Okay. What we have to do is we have to either put our officers through monthly, quarterly, or yearly training, decompression. That's what they need, because we're getting that stacked trauma. And that one trauma that they go to, like the one you did on the debriefing, right? How many traumas were in those officers prior to that one? So we're just now we're only relieving one trauma. So it's like we take better care of our cars than we do ourselves. So we change our oil every 3,000 miles, right? So we have to turn around and say, okay, a cop's been on the street. I don't care what county, what state, wherever it is, but you've been on the street for 300 hours. Let's take him off. Let's evaluate him, see if he's okay. Let's get him the help that he needs, and then put him back out on the street. But let's relieve that stress of those first 300 hours. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And before we go on, I have some hellos. So Chris Bowles says hello, my brother. Carrie Griffin Coster, Hill, you are simply amazing, and I love you. Paul, thank you, Paul. It's 685 veterans who are now DPD officers, and Paul says hello. You bring up a
Did you say Carrie Griffin?
Yes.
She's a Gold Star mother.
Oh,
and her son, Miss Griffin, was killed on the battlefield, and so God bless her. I love that woman. She is such a fantastic lady, and it's great to hear from her.
Sending prayers to her.
Yeah, prayers to you and your whole family. So if we have a lot of first responders, a lot of them know what Gold Star, but a lot of them don't know what Gold Star is. If you lost a family member in battle, so you become a Gold Star family, Gold Star mom, Gold Star dad, Gold Star family, and our hearts go out to you, and just God bless you. So
one thing that John mentioned too, and I want to touch on real quick, is that the Sergeant Major of the Army actually said this, and I think it was actually stemmed off of a quote that Howie Mandel, an old comedian that's very close and near and dear to mental health, behavioral health, is we go to the doctor if we have a broken foot, we go to the dentist if we have a toothache, we go to a dermatologist if we have an itch or a scratch. Why don't we go to the psychologist if our brain hurts? What's stopping us from doing that?
I think that's what John alluded to, what we've been talking about with the training. Mm-hmm. If we had quarterly training, if it just became part of being a first responder.
Yep.
So, for the feds, quarterly firearms training, there would be no stigma. They'd be like, oh yeah, we're doing this training. I kind of get to learn more about my head, and kind of that it's okay. I can go talk to the department shrink. That's how casual. That's how casual I truly believe, in my opinion, that it would get to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Starts with leadership.
Yeah, it absolutely starts with the leadership. And, there are so many programs that are coming out as the therapy protocols. You got to start in the experimental stage. Hey, maybe this will work for PTS. But I mean, it started with, a list this big, and then boom. And thank God the military has taken on a lot of this and kind of opened their minds, because EMDR, I remember that was not approved for the military. I had already gone through it, gotten treatment. The woman who treated me worked with Vietnam veterans. I was like, military, you're missing a key opportunity. It's not experimental. And it's so refreshing to see more of kind of like what we call our alternative therapy protocols being brought on board. The clinicians are being brought in. And yes, some people are getting the relief, but it's only those that are asking for it, that are active in what is going on. And being part of the board of directors for Throttle Therapy, Spartan Action Network, you're out at New Hope Ranch, which is your newest endeavor, correct?
Yes.
How in your mind, with all these programs out here, how do we bridge that gap? How do we say it's okay to not to be okay and just take a breath and go talk to somebody?
That is a great question. And I think a lot of that has to do with just awareness. And it has to do with ending the stigma. The stigma is one of the things that's really stopping folks from getting into treatment, because they're afraid of losing their job. They're afraid of ridicule. They're afraid of a number of things. And so that's the first step, is just ending the doggone stigma. I'm trying not to use foul language, but it just annoys me so bad. Because many, many years ago, when I was a younger soldier, I was actually ridiculed because I went and got, I asked to go see a counselor because I had seen some things for the first time in my life that was really disturbing on a deployment. And I got ridiculed and shamed, said I was never going to go anywhere in my life. I would never be a leader, all that kind of stuff. And so it's the stigma that really needs to be. So we need people like what you two are doing, and what Spartan Action Network is doing, and what Officer Paul Farr is doing, what Officer Geyer is doing, and so many others that are in the community across the state of Texas and in the nation to help end that stigma and say it's okay. And one of the things I talk about is when I go to the briefing there at Dallas, is it's so easy just to go to somebody that looks like they're troubled. And you had mentioned this, like if you saw a post on Facebook that was a little troubling, ask the tough question. Are you okay? Hey man, let's talk. We'll pull them aside, say what's going on, and it's a matter of just one question that you could get so much from when you break the ice and you make a connection of some kind, you make a common connection. And if you just show that little bit of empathy, that little bit of understanding, and that little bit of care, you might see someone just break down right there and say, you know what, I need help. I'm struggling.
John, I'm talking about your point with the stigma. I went to rehab for about 30 days after I went down a rabbit hole. And from the moment I walked in, I went to Chateau Recovery up in Utah for 30 days. And from the moment I walked in, you felt that there was no stigma. I was surrounded by firefighters, veterans, and paramedics, right? All there for the same reason, right? No stigma, no judgment, no nothing. Within, I would say, 5 or 10 minutes, we were all sitting at the table, bawling, crying, sharing our stories with strangers. You know why? Because you never felt that stigma. You never felt someone judging you, or the perception of them saying, you'll be okay. We're all there for a common cause. We're all feeling this. And Sam, you say it all the time. You are not alone. You're not alone. No. Everybody feels the same thing, but it's that big elephant in the room that everybody's scared to say, hey, what is that? Yeah.
One of the toughest things is to get someone into the door for treatment. But once you get them into that treatment, then it becomes a whole new thing. They're getting to a better place in life, and they're saying, wow, this is actually working. And we need those to provide those testimonies to say, this is working.
Yeah.
It's helping me. This is a good thing. And I think a lot of testimonies need to be shared, but understandably, there's a lot of organizations out there that are very protective of their clients, and they don't want to expose them, and they don't want them to end up in that rabbit hole, so to speak, of, oh, look, that guy went to go get help. He went to mental health, and so they're real protective about that. And I can totally understand it, but we just need to get those folks that have had that good treatment to say it's a good thing. I've been to counseling many times, and I'll still go to counseling, and I'm proud to say it. And I'll take anybody to the front door of wherever I would prefer that they come to where I work at, because we have an excellent program at Discover Behavioral Health in New Hope Ranch. But sometimes you got to find the right tool for the right job.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're just showing you some more love. Tom Barry's on, Conrad Weaver from Maryland, PTSD 911 documentary coming out. Tempa, hey Tempa, 22 kill, Dan.
Tempa.
Chris, thank you so much. Sharonda's on. Yeah, education will break the stigma, awareness. The comments just go on and on. I'm sorry if I'm leaving you out. The screen is actually changing as I'm scrolling. I've never seen that before.
That's a good segue. There are so many organizations out there that are doing great things for first responders and veterans alike. There's just so many of them. I mean, you mentioned Tempo. So she has the One Tribe Foundation, which formerly was 22 Kill and Stay the Course. Fantastic. There's Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic. Fantastic. Again, where I work at, residential treatment detox for veterans and first responders. Fantastic. There's so many out there. It's just the awareness bit, the passing of the torch. You know, hey, I went and got treatment. Now it's your turn. Let me show you where to go. This is excellent. And so there's just so many opportunities out there.
Yeah, and Johnny Motor Clothes. I know every single day.
Johnny Motor Clothes.
Yeah,
she's a special lady.
So I want to talk about the ranch, because one of the things I head up the Travis Manion Foundation here for the Dallas Fort Worth area, and everything that we did in terms of leadership, bringing us together so we could really talk, was outside. It was in a I'll call it serene. We were in Colorado in the mountains where we could kind of just decompress, let loose, talk about anything and everything. Sure, there was those business chats with how do we make TMF better, but more how do we impact each other? How do we lead, and what we got out of the event, and more groups like you mentioned Tempa with formerly 22 Kill. I don't know if we were supposed to make that announcement of what they're doing, but you know, they do wind therapy, and they have the name of the program Forge, which is all outside. So many programs. A Chateau, a lot of stuff outside. You're not in. You had your therapy time, you know, on the couch or whatever the room looks like, but most of it is out in nature, and nature is proving to be one of the key factors in treating post-traumatic stress. Like, you have to be in such a nurturing environment. Let's talk about New Hope Ranch.
So New Hope Ranch is actually exactly what's in the title. It's a ranch. It's like you said, it's outdoors. It's you are getting treatment for substance use disorder and post-traumatic stress and many other things attributed to it, but you're at a ranch. It's not it doesn't look like a hospital. It doesn't feel like a hospital. It doesn't feel medicine-y. You know,
that's key.
You're not laying in a bed with a clipboard on the end of it, and you know, things like that. It's just a beautiful, serene place. And when the weather starts getting, because I don't know what the hell is going on in Texas right now.
Right.
Mother Nature is not kind. But when the weather cooperates, they have outdoor space for group counseling or individual counseling, and there's so many things to do. They're building a trail that goes around this nice pond. You know, the possibilities are endless there. And the one of the things that's great about that place is, like, when I go there often to visit, because I like to stay in communication with the staff and the counselors and all the folks that work there. You don't feel isolated. Right. It's so open and so, you know, welcoming. You just don't have that sense of isolation. And, you know, they provide a lot of other things, you know, the yoga, the mindfulness, there's a gym, there's just so much there to offer. And it's just it's a beautiful, serene place. I mean, the other day, I think it was, one of the staff was talking about how some goats from the neighbor's farm had ended up greeting them at the door, and it was a funny moment.
That's great.
That's how far out you are. But you're far out, but you're not so far out where you're not away from society either. So, you know, there's stores and things that are close by the event. Somebody needs some necessities or whatever, or there needs to be an emergency room run or something. So it's just, I can't speak highly enough about this place. I've been to a number of other places that provide great services as well, but I just really feel at home here, not just because of the staff and how they're seasoned and how they're culturally competent. And there's folks that are on staff that have served. It's just, you just get a real sense of calm and peace there.
Do they offer outreach programs along with like outpatient programs, or just inpatient programs?
No, they don't do we don't do any outpatient programs. This is a residential treatment facility. Okay. So they also do a detox. But we do have a whole staff that does referral relations. So we're able to network with other organizations that provide those additional services if needed.
Excellent. A message just came in from Chris Bowles to tell you that Hoss from New Hampshire loves you, and that this conversation is hitting home right now.
A good man right there. That's one of my brothers. A brother from
Chris.
the other side of the nation. Okay. Love that guy.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to focus also. It's a little bit different when you talk about and John, I want you to chime in here as well, because with the inpatient, with the residential treatment for drugs and alcohol, okay, in the first responder community, like I'll say alcohol is king because it's a legal substance. You can get away with it for only so long, because if you don't address that trauma, that why you're doing what you're doing, it could get away from you, and then you find yourself needing a New Hope Ranch or Chateau. The level of drug use, we've got some opiate stories of opioid use with first responders. Unfortunately, the stories that we've gotten haven't ended well. Folks have completed suicide utilizing them, but we don't see as much with the drug use in our first responder population and as we do with the alcohol. Now, alcohol, the way it's being used, is a drug. When you have folks coming in to New Hope Ranch, do you have them like with this competition? Like, oh, you're a drunk. Oh yeah, well you're a drunk.
No, I don't believe there's that competition. I think everybody's just on an equal, when they're in the detox, it's an equal playing field.
Okay.
But I have to agree with you on the alcohol bit, because you don't need a prescription for alcohol.
But I'm going to disagree on one spot, because we're looking in the wrong direction. We're failing to look at the one first responder team that is usually overlooked, and that's our nurses.
Yeah.
Nurses?
Our nurses.
Okay.
When I was in Chateau, I met a couple of nurses in there, and though they had alcohol problems, their main area was prescription drugs. Because they were able to function as a nurse without the smell, the whole bit. It was a lot easier for them to do their 12-hour shifts. So we have to really take into consideration because the nurses do not get the same, therapy sessions or therapy counseling as our first responders out on the street. And our nurses see just as much, if not more. They're dealing with COVID, and I think next pandemic with our nurses, we have to watch out for those men and women that serve us in our hospitals.
So wasn't nurses and ERs also recently put in the category of first responders as well? Am I not mistaken with that?
I don't know. I think programs are recognizing them. I don't know if it's been like I haven't seen anything official. Hey, folks, there's a lot of you listening. maybe somebody knows about that. I mean, look, I have spoken, and Jonathan, I know you've spoken to groups. John, you've been out there. From the ER docs to the nurses, we know that they are seeing things that they cannot unsee. No. That they are losing kids, on gurneys, and their moms and dads themselves. It's just because they're not in the fight, just because they're not out on scene, this is what we're bringing to their doorsteps,
Yeah.
to their
Yeah.
homes. And let's see. Robert says, you're right, John, married to a nurse, and we could tell you so many stories of nurses who have abused and now caught.
You know, you look at it like this.
Yeah.
Thank you. But you look at it this way. We declared our 911 telecommunication operators as first responders, right? Now, they hear the effects on the phone, right? They hear the screaming on the phone. They hear all that. The initial contact is with a 911 operator, right? They hang up. There's zero closure, right? Our paramedics and our EMTs drop that dying kid off at the hospital, right? Put the gurney back together. They get back in their ambulance. They don't know what's happening at the hospital. This is a succession of lying where now our nurses have to deal with the grieving parents. They have to deal with the aftermath. So all of these components put together are a mental health disaster for a human brain.
Yeah, talk about an epidemic.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a pandemic, but we got a bigger epidemic.
Yeah.
We have to start looking at it like that.
So let's throw another thing in there too. Let's talk about family members. So my family, I'm going through a divorce right now because when I came home, I put my pain on my family who did not deserve that. And so that's what it ended up being. Now we get along great. We still talk and we have a good relationship right now, but they didn't deserve what I brought home. So there are, you can imagine what some of these first responders and veterans and nurses alike are bringing home to their families, and they don't deserve that. We need to be helping the families out as well. The spouses, the children, they need help right now as well. Right now, you mentioned Johnny Motor Clothes. That's been my girlfriend for many years now, and she's been fantastic. And she has been very good at recognizing when I'm kind of on my roller coaster ride, and she's been helping me through some of my issues as well. So it's important to have a good, that good connection, and it's essential that we make sure that we're taking care of these families as well, because you want, not only do you want the person that's getting the help, the first responder, the veteran, whatever, to be getting better, but when they go back to the family, which was ground zero at one time, you haven't put all the full puzzle back together yet. There might be some pieces missing that you need to, bring it all back together. So that's just a point I definitely wanted to make. I never want to leave family members out. They're extremely important in our lives, because who knows you better than you?
Well, they get the same trauma, but it's vicarious trauma, and I forgot it was Chris that brought it up from Trauma Behind the Bridge one day. He turned around and he said, what if one of us, our first responders, came home and our wife turned around and said, hey, some guy at the grocery store pulled a gun on me. And as a husband or a spouse, you'd be like, what happened? And you'd be like, I don't want to talk about it. How would you feel? How would you feel if your wife or your spouse said that to you, said, hey, some guy pulled a gun on me, but don't worry, I'm okay. You are going to go out and say, hey, no, you're going to want to know what happened.
Yeah.
We closed up as first responders, but we expect our spouses to talk.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a two-way street on that.
Yep.
Yeah,
no, you're right.
Yeah. They need to it's definitely more programs. John, when you and I first got help, the family wasn't included. It was just like, you are the focus. This is what we're gonna do. And I remember, I think Steve was brought in like on one session. Okay, he had no idea. Okay,
Chateau Recovery has been in constant contact with Tara.
Right.
I mean,
so the changes in some programs are coming, and it is vital. You, John, you do a great part at our workshop talking about family and the importance of it, because if you only heal the person that has the trauma, and John, you have the vicarious trauma that the family has dealt with, and they go like this instead of meeting and continuing together, it's a fractured unit the whole way across, because none of us, I mean, Jonathan, I'm sure you did not want to tell your family, you know, the everything that you saw, and with all your deployments and, you know, the outposts, and we, you know, thank you for letting the general public kind of in on your world and what you guys went through, because if we're not getting the stories directly from you, I mean, you're not telling your loved ones all that stuff. We have this wall, this mode of protection, but we tend to use that wall of protection to not let them in on the things that they really need to be brought in on.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. You got to be careful. You know, my ex, she knew what was going on, and she knew what had happened, but my children did not know for a while what had happened, because you never know how it's going to affect a developing brain still. And so you just got to be careful what you say and what you don't say.
There's a way to say it.
There is a way to say it.
There's a way to say it. You leave out the gore and the blood and the guts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you lose a child in a pool drowning and it's affecting you, come home and you can speak to your wife or your spouse and say, "Hey, we lost a child today, drowned in the pool." That's it. They're big people. They can understand it. You don't have to get into the gory details about how the child looked or how the event was, but that relieves some of your stress, and it helps your spouse understand the day that you've had.
Right.
So there's ways to come to open up to your spouse without really putting them into the scene.
Yeah, I agree.
So Jonathan, for you, you know, you mentioned that you're going through a divorce. Was it just that you didn't want to communicate, or it was difficult to communicate?
Just came, you know, when I got back from when I retired, it was basically we had to learn how to get to know each other again, because I was home all day, every day. And it just, you know, it just didn't really work out. It's not on bad terms. It just didn't, it didn't work out. She's great. She took care of me for the longest period of time and all that kind of stuff, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I wish her and the kids the best, and you know, we still talk and stuff like that. But I'm you know, right now with who I have in my life has been great. Johnny Motor Clothes has been fantastic. She has everybody calls her the hippie with the great attitude and the flowing spirit and stuff like that. They were kind of compared to the old show Dharma and Greg. So I'm kind of like the serious business guy, and she's sort of like this floating hippie but she's fantastic, and she's been doing great things, and I can't thank her enough for you know,
well, that's awesome.
seeing what I'm going through and having to deal with that as well. She comes from a very rough background as well, so we have a lot that we can relate to.
Yeah. So for folks that are listening, they may be first responders, know of first responders that really need to reach out and maybe just pick up the phone and talk. How would they get in touch with New Hope Ranch? How would they start the process there?
So you can certainly share my information, my phone number, my email. They do have a very good webpage of New Hope Ranch, and Discovery Behavioral Health is the parent company.
Okay.
And New Hope Ranch is located near Pflugerville. That's a name of a town that starts with P. Pflugerville. But it's in Maynard, Texas, and they can call me and contact me, and I can be like somewhat the liaison to make sure that they're, you know, going through the proper process and the proper channels to get them admitted.
Okay. What would that? Do you want me? Do you want me to put that out on the stream, or do you want if somebody calls us? It's totally up to you. Or
you can put it out on the stream. My phone number is on my business card that I hand out to everybody.
Okay.
I don't have an issue with that. I'm available whenever I can be, and if I'm not answering, I may be on a call with somebody in crisis. So just be sure to leave a message or send me a text message of some sort. Just don't put my name on the bathroom walls. I would appreciate that. But yeah, you can share my information, and my email is real easy. It's jhill@discoverybh.com.
discoverybh.com. I'm putting that out right now. J Hill, not J. Hill, right?
No, it's just J Hill. Yep.
Discovery B. Okay, and your number?
940-268-7577.
Oops, 940.
Jonathan, what is I know every organization, every ranch or program has certain criterias. What criterias is a family going to have to put together so when they come there they're ready to go? DD 214. What do they have? What do they need? Or could they just come in?
So they'll what will happen is we'll get in touch with their admissions, and then we'll make sure we have what's called verification of benefits, because we do need to go through an insurance, and we take most major insurance policies and carriers, and we are in network with Tri-West, so we can take referrals from the VA. That's very important, because we want to be good stewards of the VA. We want to make sure that they're doing good things, and we want to help them out. And we don't need to see a DD 214. If they're coming in and they've served, and we don't need a verification on that. And that's really about it. We typically really want to hit the substance use disorder bit. That's one of the primary reasons, and then follow on to counseling with the residential treatment. So it's part of my job, not just as outreach, to be kind of that liaison and walking them through the process from the time that they say I need help all the way to getting them into admissions.
I recently had a veteran's wife reach out to me. Her husband was going through some bad times, substance abuse, had a few legal issues, but we wanted to get him into a program. Didn't know how to go about it because of the legal issues. Will your organization help process that and help the family member work through that?
Through legal issues, no, but they can probably get in touch with Veterans Treatment Court, and they might be able to provide some legal advice to that particular person.
That's the advice we gave. And I wanted you to say it because a lot of people out there don't know that there's a veterans court out there.
Yeah.
To help to get you into a program.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Judge Roach, Dr. Cape, and oh my Lord, my brain isn't working right now. There's a whole slew of great folks up there, and another thing that's great about it is Judge Roach is a Marine. All the staff up there are like all former service, they're Marines or whatever, and I love that because I get to go make fun of them because I make fun of Marines all the time. I bring them boxes of crayons and whatnot, so I love them.
Only red ones, right?
But they're doing fantastic work up there. I've seen them change lives for the better. Amazing program, and that's something that the folks should be looking into. Now, many counties have that. I know Denton County has one, Collin County has one. I think Dallas County has one. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a number of them that many counties have them, and it's a great program, and that's a good way to reach out to figure out any kind of legal issues that one might be into. And what's great about it is if you go through this program, which is not an easy program, you really got to work. You've got to prove yourself. You got to work through this program. You got to prove yourself. You want to get better. You got to get in school. You got to have a job. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then once you graduate, after a couple of years, maybe, then your crime's expunged if you're successfully graduate. How amazing is that?
It's awesome, man.
Fantastic.
I see a lot of, and we work with a lot of veterans who maybe have DWIs and have pending case COVID. Those cases are not going to trial for another year or another 8 months. So they're putting off their treatment because of the court system, and that is not the right thing to do.
No.
They can go to treatment while they're waiting for their court date, but they have to go to the veterans court.
Yeah, they completely encourage the treatment part through their journey through Veterans Treatment Court, and the judge will ask, how's your treatment going, and he praises a lot of organizations out there that participate in that. And I've gone to many of their dockets, and I think there's one coming up here soon, and I'll be going to the one in Cobb County. It's the one I usually go to, but it is part of the treatment. And then they have the Valor program that if you have committed a crime to where you're incarcerated, they bring that counseling to the facility.
Oh, wow.
So counseling is a very important part of that piece.
That's great. Got a question. Is New Hope only for veterans and first responders? No,
it's for everybody that has a substance use disorder and needs counseling. So again, it's if they give me a shout or whatever, I can answer any questions. And we do have we see everybody. Now it's adults at that location. It's adults. But there are other. If you go to discovery.com, we also have under Discovery many other locations that have programs for young adults and adolescents, and eating disorders and mood and anxiety. It's just a whole slew of services.
So when you're at New Hope, if you've got veterans, you've got first responders, you've got, I'll call it the general public that not non-uniform. Do they do everything together, or are certain things kind of kept separate?
A lot of the stuff that they do is kept separate. So they're going to, if there's a group, it's just going to be the veterans group or the first responders group, or they may mix the first responders and the veterans together. But those that have not served probably won't be in that type of setting.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they probably wouldn't get it. And that's tough for somebody to kind of come in there and listen to this type of trauma when maybe they have a different kind of trauma from a different setting, and it may just not, it may be a clashing moment. So it's best to probably just kind of keep them in separate, but give them the same quality care, but in a separate setting.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Jonathan, this hour has flown by. We can't thank you enough for your time. I always ask at the end of the show, you've got the mic. What would you like? What is your message to our veterans and first responders out there?
Get help. If you know you need it, get it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's only going to do you good. Again, I've been in treatment. I've been through counseling. And if I still need to go get counseling, I'm going to go get it. And I'm proud to say it. There are so many people out there that are championing and cheerleaders for veterans and first responders to get help. And there's so many programs out there. People are chomping at the bit to help these folks, because the Americans and the patriots want to help. They want to do something to that feel good moment to say, I helped that person. So research, Google, do whatever, find whatever you can to go get help. If you're not going to get help, find a freaking hobby. Find a hobby. Do something like what I do. I like to get on a motorcycle and I just go ride. And it's what's called like throttle therapy or wind therapy or whatever you want to call it. It's there's just a lot to do. Don't isolate yourself. Don't become best friends with Jack Daniels and Jim Beam. Stay in the network of veterans and first responders. Stay in the network, because that's how we really find out about a lot of these programs, is word of mouth. That's probably the most powerful way we're finding out about this helps me and that helped me. Hey man, this has really helped me. This is where I went to. And that person may say, hey, this organization over here is getting ready to do a hiking trip and stuff like that. So it's a networking piece. So get in the network. And then when you get through the treatment and you're in a better place in life, freaking pay it forward. Pay it forward. Be that ambassador. Be that somebody that says, I want to pay it forward. I want to see my brothers and sisters get to a better place in life also. And because in time, we're going to be at the point where we're just going to be like, I don't know if I physically or mentally can do this anymore. So we need other people to step up, you know? So that's my message. And I love everybody that's been participating in this. Can't thank you enough for having me on your show. You guys are doing wonderful stuff. And I hope that one day, you know, when I'm at Dallas Police Department, we can shake hands and officially meet in person again. And John, we'll see you on the board eventually. And this is just great. I'm full of energy and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Jonathan. Once again, on behalf of me and Sam, it's a pleasure to have you being part of Mad Radio and helping spread the resources and awareness and your story. We're grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam?
I think she froze.
She froze?
I froze. Are we back?
I was like,
we always freeze with the funny
Everybody
faces
froze.
too. Yeah. You always freeze with the funny face. It's like,
yeah. So, Sam, any closing?
No, I just can't thank you enough for your time. Again, folks, if you have not seen the movie The Outpost, please, you can go rent it or watch it on Netflix. It's on Prime for rental. The more we take it upon ourselves to understand what people like Jonathan have been through, the men that he served with that gave their lives so that we can do what we're doing right now, the more we can get the message out, I believe one day we will stem this tide and stop the suicides. And just thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll catch up with you.
All right.
All
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Paul Farr just wrote a message. Dallas County does have a veterans court program.
Yeah.
So that's all good to know for those who live in Dallas County.
Thank you. John, this is, again, it's powerful. We could have kept going. There is so much more that Jonathan does. Maybe we'll get him and Paul. We'll have to see how that works with, since Paul's active, if DPD lets him and do something. So again, people really understand why the treatment is needed, that it's got to be specialized, and that we, you, me, Jonathan, Paul, everybody who's gotten help, absolutely pay it forward. I love that. I really love it. That's going to stay with me tonight. So, we can't do this without all of y'all. All y'all, that's the Texas thing, all y'all watching and supporting the show. Hey, if you are watching on Facebook right now, do us a huge favor. Jump on over to YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and then search Mad Radio Texas.
And subscribe.
Yes, hit subscribe, hit follow. 200 is our magic number that we get to do a lot more things with the YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, thank you so much. Jump on over to our Facebook page. You go to facebook.com and you can search Making a Difference TX. That's what Mad Radio is at. So it's at Making a Difference TX.
You know what's funny, Sam? You just said the YouTube. You said the YouTube, like the Facebook.
It's
the YouTube.
The Facebook. It's the YouTube. It's the Instagram. It's all over. I don't know. That's it.
Hey, I just want to plug one thing before we leave. Healing Six Springs Ranch in Richardson tomorrow night. I'm going to be hosting a comedy show. It's great. It's like $7 or $10 to get in. The place has got great food, great atmosphere, and you get to laugh for a couple hours with some amazing comics that are throughout the DFW area. So come on down. The show starts at 8. Six Springs Tavern in Richardson, and get some laughs, eat some good food, and de-stress.
And laughter saves lives, does it not? It is a great de-stressor. Hey, if you are bouncing over to our Facebook page, you can, when we're done with the broadcast, you can scroll up. Got a lot of books available. You can support that way. And times are changing in Texas. We got great news today. The 2A bill 1927 passed through the Senate. So it looks like the governor's going to sign off on it to make Texas a 2A state. Now, what that means is if you'd like to travel with your firearm, you still need your license to carry.
Right.
So if you want to, again, this is the most unique way, or so I've been told, to support the show. Go to carryintexas.com. It has a little box. How'd you hear about us? Mad Radio. All right. And we thank you so much. We want you to know at all times, you are never, ever alone. You have a network in Mad Radio. You have a network in a badgeofhonor.com. Go to a badgeofhonor.com, scroll down. You'll see our partners, and you can click on any one of them. A lot of our partners are on live tonight. We thank you so much. Thank you for supporting Jonathan tonight. Thank you for supporting the show. And until next week, man, we're gonna be mixing stuff up. We're gonna be having coffee talk next week.
Oh, we are?
We are.
Okay. I'm into that.
So, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. Until next week,
right.
Please be safe. Our prayers are with you out there, to all the men and women that serve here, keeping us safe, and overseas to ensure our freedoms. We love you. God bless you. Till next week, everybody. Bye-bye.